I inspire my students to reach for the stars by letting them know that they're comfortable in my classroom, they're safe in their learning environment, wanting them to take risks, and if they can't do something, they just can't do it yet. It's okay not to know something, you just don't know it yet, and it's never something you can't do.
We inspire our students to reach for the stars by nurturing their creativity, offering inspiration, creating positive environments, being a source of inspiration, and providing guidance when they need it, and providing opportunities for growth.
One way that I inspire students to reach for the stars is to get them to understand that work ethic speaks for itself. Everything that they do is going to require hard work. And once they put forth that hard work, things will come easier for them. I also like to tell them one thing that I told my children growing up. Do what you have to now so you can do what you want to later. Meaning, do all the hard work once you get into college and once you segue into corporate America. Do all the hard work then, and later on in life, you can reap the benefits later on in life from the fruits of your labor. I try to inspire them and teach them that saving money is very important as they get into corporate America. Whatever job that they do get, they need to understand that some type of tech manual comes with that job. They need to be the resident experts of that tech manual, know all the ins and outs, and always aspire to go to the next level. In regards to if they start off at entry level, they need to be ready to go to the next level in regards to if it's manager, leader, or supervisor. Learn the tech manual for that job. Always look for the higher qualifications or whatnot. And I think they'll be very successful once they get out in corporate America. The last thing I'm gonna leave them with is it's all right to make mistakes. I expect for you to make mistakes. It's an old saying that says, the best teacher in life is your last mistake. So learn from that mistake, move on, and you'll be very successful. Always remember the teachers, the coaches, the mentors, the trainers that got you up to this point. And when you have any hardships or feel that you're having any pressure, reach back to that wisdom, and we are always here to help you out. That's all I got.
Okay. I inspire my students to reach for the stars by trying. And when we try, we're bound to make mistakes. One of my students once told me that the most successful person in the world has probably made the most mistakes in the world. So we go with that. My students see me make mistakes every day. And in order to reach for the stars, we're going to make some mistakes along the way. So to know that it's okay to make mistakes and to be comfortable with making mistakes, that's one way to inspire students to reach for the stars.
Well, I do think there's a lot of different ways that teachers can inspire their students. And I know one of the things that I do is one of the things that I'm able to do for my lower level students, which is what I mostly work with through my day, is being able to show them building blocks of steps. As a math teacher, it's important to be able to show them how to do that math, but why they're doing that math. So making that building block from step 1 all the way up to step 2 kind of resembles for me being them able to reach up for the stars and get to that final goal.
A couple ways that I feel like teachers help students reach for the stars is one, build relationships with students. If you can get your students to trust you, then they're going to want to work harder for you, or maybe put themselves out there to try something new or something that's difficult. And then the second part of that is have a can-do attitude. Things are going to be difficult. There's going to be challenges. Don't give up. Don't quit. Keep trying your best. You know, the one thing you can control is your effort and your attitude towards any situation or any kind of education situation. So.
I inspire my students to reach for the stars every single day. Every day is summer, and all we do is have fun.
How I inspire students to reach for the stars is by reaching for the stars myself. Art, in my particular case, is super important, and I want to convey that to my students. So I try my best every day to learn, and I try every day to inspire my students to learn. I enjoy my craft. I enjoy not just talking about art, but producing art. And I think showing my enjoyment of that encourages my students to look for enjoyment, not just in art, but in any subject that they study, whether it's math or science or history or PE. All of these things can inspire enjoyment in kids. You just need to find that one little spark that makes you enjoy learning. And so that's what I do. I try to enjoy it myself, and I think that rubs off on our kids. So.
Well, how I inspire my students to reach for the stars is by celebrating each success, whether small or big, and by teaching them that every day is a new opportunity to learn and grow.
I think teachers inspire students to reach for the stars by genuinely creating meaningful relationships so they know that the teacher cares and wants them to succeed.
As a school counselor, I know that I inspire my students to reach for the stars by building a positive relationship with each student. That means showing genuine interest in their hobbies, their passions, which then helps to empower them to focus on their strengths and overcome challenges and obstacles.
Well, in my point of view, in my media center, I've established a safe and inclusive space where students can explore beyond the confines of a traditional classroom. By incorporating 21st century skills, I've opened up opportunities for them that they would never have imagined. One of my main goals is accessibility, ensuring students of all levels can participate in the activities that I have in our media center and our makerspace. This allows them to learn and grow, realizing that in this environment, it's okay to fail in the path to success. Embracing a growth mindset, I prioritize individual time with students to help them discover their passions and develop a sense of purpose. And by structuring my schedule in a way that I can collaborate with teachers and their classes and also be able to give attention to individual students, I can provide support and guidance. For example, I can encourage a reluctant reader to be able to read her first novel after 3 years in middle school, or help a student design a 3D design of a cat with the face of the rock. In moments of doubt, when students express concerns about their abilities or fear of failure, I strongly encourage them to just do it. I take inspiration from the quote, "Reach for the moon. Even if you fail, you'll land among the stars." I remind them to take risks and embrace the potential for growth and discovery. By creating this empowering media center, I inspire students to reach beyond their comfort zones, to nurture their creativity, and cultivate the skills necessary for success in the 21st century.
I think that one way that I can inspire students to reach for the stars is by creating a safe environment in the classroom and letting them know that they are loved and treasured and valued more than anything. And so when they feel safe and they know that they're loved, then they can reach for the stars.
I think I inspire them with my passion for math, math teacher, and my passion and excitement for when the light bulb actually clicks on. And even the best part is when every light bulb in the classroom clicks on at the same time. I think they see my excitement, my enthusiasm for when that happens, and that drives them to want to do it more and more and more. But on top of my passion for math and for them to, reach that next level, I don't lie to them either. When something's going to be tough, I tell them it's going to be tough. And if something's going to be, I don't lie, I don't sugarcoat, but they know that I care, and they go out of their way as I go out of my way to make sure that we all reach that next level.
I inspire my students to reach for the stars by making their projects and activities meaningful to them, helping them to relate to real life, and just showing them that what they learn in the school day is actually going to be applied outside of the school.
Well, I teach middle school, so one really important thing that I do to help my students reach for the stars is to embrace their weird, whatever their weird is, and to try not to lose that when they go into high school, because I teach 8th grade and they're kind of the best at that age because they're not too cool for things yet. So just to embrace their weird and celebrate that is kind of I think one way that we can help them reach for the stars.
I inspire my students by trying to be their biggest cheerleader that they have at school. And also, I tell them inspirational stories about students that I've had that have overcome in the past. But I must say that my students inspire me any more than I can inspire them.
I inspire my students to reach for the stars by making sure that they know how much I believe in their potential, how much I believe in their ability to do anything they strive to do, and to build confidence in their everyday actions by showing them their progress as they work, and to know that they always have me on their side to support them throughout any challenges they face. And then they inspire me back by working so hard every day and overcoming challenges, and just so proud of them.
I want to facilitate an environment where kids are purveyors of their own education. You know, the second you get them to own education, they'll find a way to conquer the content. And then you're cultivating brilliance, you're cultivating this confidence. And you're teaching them to problem solve. Once they feel confident in doing that, they'll reach for the stars. It'll be an organic experience. And hopefully they'll use that confidence to continue to do that outside the classroom.
How I inspire my students to reach for the stars, being as I teach kindergarten, I think one of the most important things as I'm setting the foundation for their love of school is to make sure they understand that they're loved and valued and feel safe. And once they understand that that's what we're there for, and we're there for their betterment, and we love them, they're going to trust us, they're going to do their best, and they're going to reach for the stars every day.
Relationships. The more they know they can trust you, the more they know that you love them, they will do anything for you. They will move heaven and earth. Last year was probably the hardest year ever in my personal life, and my kids kind of fit into that, and they were just amazing, to the point that this year they're big fifth graders, but they still come and they visit me and they check in on me, and I love them and they love me, and it's just amazing. Relationships and growth mindset, and they'll aim for the moon.
Do I inspire my students to reach for the stars? Well, I basically try to let them know that I believe in them and that they kind of can do anything, and that making mistakes is part of the learning process. So really anything's attainable, kind of just for getting on their level and actually relating to them and listening to them.
What inspires me with my students is finding out what their love language is. I love to find out if their love language is quality time, physical touch, words of affirmation, gifts, and acts of service. And once I find out what it is, I can kind of figure out how they love to be loved. Because first they have to gain my trust. And building that relationship is really, really important to me. And so once I do that, they kind of trust me. And I can inspire them because they know that I am by their side, I'm right there with them, I'm pushing them. And I just love my students, and I tell them, you can do anything you put your mind to. So I think it's trust.
And how I inspire my students to reach for the stars. Well, first, I started by trying to stretch their arms really hard. Didn't work. Then I let them all borrow my Super Rice capes because they all call me Super Rice and believe that I'm a superhero. So I tried to convince them that they needed to join me up there, and they borrowed my capes and couldn't fly. So we decided to just go with setting goals. And we set our goals, and we start with little ones. And every little goal that we meet, we make the next goal until we can reach that top goal.
And how do I inspire students to reach for the stars? Well, first, I become their cheerleader. Why? Because kids don't learn from people they don't like. I form a positive connection with each one, and then I teach them to believe in themselves. I teach things like positive self-talk and growth mindset, things like kiss your brain and the power of yet. And then just keep swimming, just keep swimming. Finally, I set high expectations that are just out of their reach. Reach, see what I did there? And then I support them until they reach every one of their goals. And finally they said, I did it! I felt my brain growing, Miss A.
I start by believing in the potential of each of them. I build those relationships from day one. The more I'm connected to my students and the more they know, love, and respect me, the more likely they are to strive to meet those academic goals.
I inspire my students to reach for the stars by creating a supportive, inclusive environment that focuses on their individual strengths and fosters a sense of belonging that motivates them to aim high and pursue their dreams.
I inspire my students to reach for the stars by really developing a relationship with them first. That's my priority. I get to know them both in school and out of school, so they know that I'm vested in them, not just short term while they're with me, but long term. They become my kid. Once they're my kid, they're my kid. So I follow them. And then I also want them to know that life is not when it's smooth sailing. That's not what life's about. Life happens and the magic happens in the adversity, the challenges, and the difficult part. That's when we do the most growing and changing as people. And I think that's helps us all become the best person that we can be.
Well, teachers are like natural entertainers. So we get to come in every day with a brand new skit for our kids to inspire them to learn. And so I think when we're more creative, we're inspiring their creativity, and that is helping them to see their potential and what they can work towards and see themselves being when they become adults.
I feel like I inspire my students to reach for the stars by believing in them and showing them that I believe in them. I tell them that first week of school that I'm gonna mom you. I'm gonna check your grades. I'm gonna make sure you're turning in your homework, and I'm gonna care. Like, if you're having a rough week, come talk to me and I'll work with you to make sure that you have that success that I know you're capable of. And then I just constantly push and have those high expectations and expect them to rise to meet them.
I inspire my students to reach for the stars by recognizing that success comes in all shapes and sizes. So taking a look at any milestone that they reach and celebrating that success then encourages them to dream big and reach for the stars.
I tell my students that they're still young enough that aside from being maybe an Olympic competitor or something along those lines, they can still reach any stars that they shoot for because they're young, they're bright, and they have everything they need right there inside them.
I like to set a high bar in my classroom. I want all students to live up to that standard that I set. If I set the bar high, all students will strive to achieve that high expectation rather than keeping the bar low and only having a few people exceed my expectations. I also like to let my students know that they're valued as human beings and not just pupils in a classroom. They are people with valid ideas, valid thoughts that are worth listening to and worth hearing. They're not there for me to talk at them. They're there to have a discussion about the concepts being learned, and I value their input as much as I hope they value mine.
Lots of ways, multiple ways. I inspire my students, number one, by building relationships with them, each individual child, and then also with their families. I get to know their families and bring them in and get to know them really well. And then also having a positive classroom environment and some friendly competition. I think some motivation with watching others and competing has motivated my students to reach their fullest potential and not focused on necessarily number one, but the growth and what they can do and being better than they were the day before.
I inspire my students to reach for the stars by reminding them that they can do anything they set their mind to as long as they're willing to work for it.
I inspire my children to reach for the stars by chasing their curiosity and to work hard to get to wherever they want, whatever dream is within their reach. And if they want to be the president or be whatever, and the president hasn't looked like them, then they can be the first one. There's nothing wrong with being the first one as long as they do their best and work hard.
I inspire my students with two ways, with their environment and my expectations. I think the environment by having a classroom where they feel welcome and comfortable, because math is all about making mistakes. It's okay to learn from our mistakes. And then with my expectations, setting high expectations. And it's amazing how they raise to the occasion.
As a teacher, I inspire students to reach for the stars by establishing relationships with them. Part of establishing a relationship is
providing an atmosphere where the children feel welcomed. It's a warm atmosphere. They're excited to come in, but then you start to establish that relationship to get to know them, and children have many layers. So you really have to kind of dig down and get to know the kids, develop a bond with them, but you still have to show them that you're there to teach them, you're there to inspire them and to encourage them while still loving on them. And once you have that relationship with them and you establish that atmosphere, you want to make the learning engaging so that they're excited and they want to continue to come to school and continue to learn. And I think when you have all three of those combined and put together, then you're able to then take the kids and push them a little bit further to encourage them to reach their potential. Another great thing is to always provide them of concrete examples of people who have maybe failed and had to try and try again until they succeeded, especially if it's something that they're very passionate about and something that they want to pursue. So that's how I inspire them. I also think that, you have to let them know that it's okay to fail and to make mistakes, because that's part of learning. And if you're not making those mistakes and learning, you're not going to reach your potential and you're not going to shoot for the stars and grab what you want.
As a teacher, I inspire my students to reach for the stars by building relationships. I'm a true believer that relationships come first. So I make sure my students know that I am their biggest cheerleader, whether it's in school, academic successes, or off campus, doing their own thing successes. So they get the same amount of kudos and high fives for reading that next Sunshine State book or scoring a 73 on their math test as they do for scoring goals in soccer or making great passes in the football team or even cheering on our basketball players as cheerleaders. Once my students know that I am there for them, then they are more willing to reach for the stars for themselves. I lead by example, so they see me mess up and learn from my mistakes, and then it makes it okay for them to mess up as well and learn from their mistakes. So as long as we're constantly building those relationships together, I think students will reach for the stars because they know how valuable they are.
First and foremost, I believe in order to do that, and I continue to do it every year, is just build a relationship with them. I feel like if I don't have rapport with them, then I'm not going to be able to reach them and build their confidence. Another thing is I let them know my weaknesses too. Let them know that we're not superhumans. We're very much real. We make mistakes. As a matter of fact, sometimes I'll refer back to, especially when we're doing literary elements, talking about character traits. And I'm like, then what is one of Miss Wiley's character traits? Like, what do I struggle with? What are my strengths, weakness? I'm like, you cannot weak. And so, it's just a way to loosen them up and to be able to make it comfort zone for them to share theirs. And then from there, I just motivate and we work on perseverance throughout the year and building each other up.
I am a former police officer and I teach criminal justice program at St. Augustine High School. One of the ways that I do things with the students is I tell them stories from my life as a police officer on the road. Some of the things that I got into, some of the things I did, I teach them from the textbook also because we do have state curriculum that we have to go by. But we vary it a little bit and give them the real life experiences. And what I do is I give them what my word this year is opportunities. I give them lots of opportunities to see what the world is out there in the law enforcement career, since that's what I teach. I bring in a lot of guest speakers from the different parts of each agency that's in our area, and I tell the kids, hey, if you want to be a cook, they need a cook out at the jail. If you want to be a lawyer, tell me that they don't get served with papers out there and they have to have a lawyer fight for them. If you would like math, they need somebody to write paychecks every week, or every other week, whatever the case is. So it appeals to kids in a different way that they think it's only when they come in the program, a police officer in a uniform in the police car that they see. They don't even think about these other aspects. So when I teach them all these things and different avenues, they start reaching for the stars immediately because they realize there's other things I can do, and I can get my college paid for, and I can be on the Florida retirement system. So there's a lot of opportunities. Once I teach them those things and instill it in them, they succeed exceedingly well in my program. They just keep on going. So it's a great program to be a part of.
I inspire my students to reach for the stars by training them like an astronaut. I treat them like they're the best of the best. I fuel their brains with knowledge. I give them all the tools they need and the equipment and then I send them on a mission so they can be the very best they can be, and they reach for the stars.
I inspire my students to reach for the stars by challenging them to be the best that they can be, while also supporting them so they can reach their goals both in the classroom and beyond.
I was thinking about this question, and the way that I inspire my students before having them inspired to reach for the stars is to inspire them to be proud of who they are individually, to be proud of who they are as a learner, as a human, just to be proud of their struggles and their strengths. If they can be proud of themselves and inspired within, then they can reach for the stars and beyond.
So when I think about stars, I think about space and how there's an endless number of stars and they're constantly being reborn and born, and new stars and old stars. And I just think about my kids as having endless opportunities to work hard, give their best effort. And my job is to celebrate their success along the way, inspire them to be great students. And when they do succeed and they find something that inspires them, I celebrate their success.
I inspire my students to reach for the stars by promoting inclusion across the campus so my students feel like they're accepted and they belong.
My teaching helps students reach for the stars because I give them opportunities to find ways that they can challenge themselves, start to dream a little, try to give them tools to reach those dreams. Some of my kids are not as equipped as they could be, and I try to equip them. I'm a tool maker. I give them the tools to be able to be successful.